I think we're live. Welcome, welcome. Happy full moon. Oh my gosh, happy October. So much stuff to be celebrating today. Oh my goodness. I'm going to wait a couple minutes and see if we're going to have some friends joining us live today. I want to say welcome to all the new members of Embodied Empress Collective. It makes me so happy that this is, hey Rachel, how are you, babe? That this is growing, this group organically, in such a beautiful way because it's such a lovely opportunity for me to get to share with you. Um, and today's an exciting day. I just got done finishing my first podcast episode and I'm going to be publishing that soon. So I'm feeling all the feels today. I'm excited. I love you, Rachel. Um, if you guys are new to me, my name is Donnell, and I'm a soul and business coach and a source oracle and all sorts of fun stuff that I get to do in my business. And today is a day that I get to connect with you and share with you, not from necessarily an astrological perspective, although I know enough about astrology just to kind of like put some information in there, but it's more about the energy and what I'm channeling that's coming through for this soul cast. And everything I do is about soul work, and so it's really how to align your soul to the highest timeline that's available for you in October, which, oh my God, I don't know if you guys are feeling this way, but th- there's so much happening right now in the collective. I mean, this is gonna be this is gonna be a big month, um, without a doubt. And today, it's starting on a full moon, makes it even that much more powerful, there's an intensity to it, and I feel like there's a little bit of a thrill to it as well. That's just the excitement that I'm feeling. And I have to say, hi, Mindy. How are you, beautiful? So good to see you. Or not see you. I always say that, see you. I always feel like I can see everybody, but to connect with you. I am an Aries rising. So this full moon feels like, honestly, the way it feels for me is that I'm on the start line, and it's almost like the shotgun, when somebody's about to go into a race and they do the shotgun, and all of a sudden you're like, boom, like you start to run. And that's what I'm feeling right now, that it's go time. And I'm not even sure for everybody that's going to be different, right? The go time's going to be different. Um, but just to kind of like get started, this October, if you add up the numerology, it's obviously a 10 month with a 2020 equals a 5. So if you follow numerology, a 5 is the energy of change, it's freedom, it's surprises, it's risk, it's opportunity, it's connection. There's a lot of different energy that goes with it. And so open yourself up this month before I even like go into how each week is going to look. Open yourself up to the fact that this is not a month to try and like hold on tight to like what was. Um, when I did a frequency activation breathwork ceremony, if you want to call it that, with my Soul Lab membership group earlier this week, I was just like, I was feeling into it. I'm like, this is a time that we get to release. And the more I was looking at the release that was coming through, was because really we're like been on this path of like we're letting go of like the last 6 months. And so if you've been feeling this sense of like almost like loss, or like something's leaving you, or what you used to know to be true is no longer true. And what I mean by that is like the reality that you were living that used to be okay for you no longer is okay. Stop fighting it. Like embrace that and know that Rachel's all, I hear you, right? know that all the things, all the astrology that's been taking place has literally like orchestrated this opportunity for us to drop out a past timeline. And it's not a tiny little timeline of like, oh, this little piece of my life is just gonna like fall away. It's like they're showing me like the earth shifting, like tectonics, like a big plate of land of like part of your world, part of your life is like literally moving away. And the cool part is if you think of like an earthquake, and I'm not saying there's any earthquakes, but like the vision, they always give me like symbology and vision in my head of what this looks like is that if the earth were like to split in two, let's just say, and like a piece of land was to kind of like move over, and there'd be no way for you to like, it'd be a big enough schism or separation that you wouldn't be able to jump back, like you wouldn't be able to like, connect it anymore. And that's what's happening right now in the in our lives and even in the collective. Okay, this is happening to the planet, is that we're being asked to release the old, the past, to heal. That's why we've had so many planets in retrograde, so that we can fully embrace all that we are and who we're becoming. And that process for some people, if this is like, you're just starting to do the work and get to know yourself and see your woundings and your trauma from your past, it can be really challenging. And so you have to usher in a lot of grace and compassion for yourself, for the fact that you're releasing and letting things, shift and change, because that type of change requires a steadfastness. And that steadfastness will get you to your new future timeline. So think of yourself almost in this like mushy energy right now, where it's like mushy in the sense of like you might be feeling all the feels in the realm of like excitement and the change, and but a little bit of fear of what's coming. And instead of fighting that, like be super super like, okay, this is where it's at. The good news is that Aries is today, the full moon is, like I said, you're going to be wrapping up the past 6 months, but you get to prepare for the new. Aries is the warrior. And when there's a full moon and it's coupled in the sign of Libra, what that's going to allow you to do. So Aries is the sign of me. It's like it can be sometimes, if it's in its shadow frequency, it's almost like a selfish energy. Like, what about me? And but when you couple it with Libra, which is all about balance and harmony, and it's all about relationships. So it's our relationship, within, to, the planet, to other people, to the, so you're going to see a big theme playing out in these next 2 weeks that is going to highlight to you the changes that need to be made in your relationships. And it starts within yourself. So if something in your reality isn't showing up the way that you want, if you're unhappy with a certain aspect, you get to look at your relationship. So maybe it's a relationship to your money picture, or your job, or your actual partner, or your children, or whatever it is, your health. And it's not one of those things where you look outside of yourself and say, well, it just must be, if let's say it was money. Oh, there just must not be money to be made right now, or, blah, blah. No. Look within yourself and see what your relationship is to that thing in your life, and take ownership and accountability so it can change. So you don't keep continuing the same pattern, because it's when we give up our responsibility and ownership of a situation to something outside of us that we lose the ability to shift or change it. So we're adulting hard right now. We're adulting, my friends. Oh my gosh, let me just take a sip of water. So let me start channeling. And basically, if this is a new thing that you're joining me with, I'm going to pull a card just because it kind of makes something tangible, but I channel source and I just receive information, and I have a collective right now that feels like it's the, they're whatever you want to call it, the how do I always say this incorrectly, the Lyrans, these Christed beings, consciousness beings that also want to work with me on this. And so let's play. That's what I said. Let's play. So yeah, I got some extra beings hanging out with me today, and the divine. So I'm going to pull a card first for the full moon that we are celebrating, and just know that this energy, this card that I'm going to channel, is going to lead us on a subtle theme for the next 2 weeks. So this is so interesting. We got the Rest and Rejuvenate card, which feels so counterintuitive in some ways, because it's like, wait a second, there's all this warrior energy and moving forward and all these kinds of things, but Mars, which rules Aries, is in retrograde. And so the only way that we can know Rachel, let's play. The only way that we can know our truth and what needs to drop out of our reality, or what the patterns are that are like, keeping us in a loop or whatever it may be, is if we slow down. And I've been thinking about this a lot, actually. This is not something that hasn't been really, I'll say it like this, it's been very close to my heart, this thought, because I was reviewing some of my beliefs and some of my mindsets around my business and work, and I had this belief that maybe to step into the next level of my financial abundance and business and all that kind of stuff, it's not just about money, but like service, all of it, the service, the abundance, everything. I have this story that says I have to work that much more, so much harder. And I had to really sit with that, because what my life has asked of me is to go slower and to do things like, if you guys knew what my day-to-day life was like, you might be like, what are you doing? And I say that because I grind. Like, I can like do a lot of work and all this kind of stuff, but like every single day I do something for myself. Like, whether it's sit in my sauna, I meditate every night, I exercise, I do all the things, because if I don't slow down, I can't get the transmissions, I can't get the energy, I can't know what's next for me. So for you guys on this full moon, where you're releasing, and then you're kind of getting a game plan, like think of like the warrior's like, okay, I got to plan out, like, what's next for me? How am I going to finish out this year? What's on the horizon? How am I going to balance out all these things in my life and not get swept away by what's happening in the collective? Because it's so easy right now to say to yourself, oh my God, it's so wild. It's like the wild, wild west out there, with like the election and this and that. And to just get so lost in that and be like, well, I can't do anything until I know like what's going to happen. And I call BS on that. Like, no, you are the co-creator of your reality with the divine, but you can't create new realities and dreams like dropping into the now if you're just like a robot, like going. That way of living and being is done. That is old paradigm. And it doesn't matter if you're sitting here telling me, like, I can hear people's voices in my head right now, well, I have an 8 to 5 job, and I have to work this much, and I have to do these things. Yes, I get it. Maybe you have kids, maybe, all sorts of things that are going to distract you. I have children myself. And you know what I've realized? And I had this thought even today, and it's probably because I was going to channel this, is that I create my perception of time. And if I believe I don't have any time and that spending time on myself is selfish, then I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, it's just going to be, I'm like canceling out the energy before I even, but if I say to myself, you know what? I'm going to see time in a new way, and I'm going to arrange my life to meet my destiny. Because I'm sorry, you cannot architect a new future and go into your dreams if you're not willing to create time to go within yourself. It's not going to happen. And Cynthia, what's up? So this is really important, this card for today and for the full moon. Rest, rejuvenate, cry if you need to, if there's something that you're letting go. um it's part of the process. It really is. And it's so funny. 2 days this week, I woke up this in the mornings and I was talking to my husband and I found myself crying. I used to cry a lot when I was younger. I don't cry that much anymore. I don't really have a lot. It takes a lot for me to cry. I might get like teared up, but I was crying because I had this thought that came over me. And the only way that I would have had the thought is because I slowed down. And the thought was, I need to learn how to be happy with aging. And I know that's a whole nother subject and that's like whatever. But it was a reality that I found myself really resisting. Like and it's something that's been programmed for me since I was a child. And I realized that it's keeping me, it's stagnating. It's like keeping me like going, oh my God, I'm getting older, and if I don't get my business here at this age, or like all these like attachments and expectations and pressures and all these things. And I felt myself like start to cry. My husband was like, it's okay, like you're gonna get where you need to go. Like you of all people you should know this, right? And I'm like, of course, but I'm human, I forget. And so I had a good little cry and I like rested a little bit and said, and it was such a good release because I was like, yeah, I've got to let this go. I've got to let this go. Now, if you remember from last month's Soulcast, this week is also about hope. It's the healing card. It was all about healing. And so what I just shared with you, that is like what healing looks like. It's to have the awareness. It's to meet yourself. It's to be with yourself. It's to see where these beliefs are coming and then realize, if I want to change, I got to like move past this. I got to make peace with this situation. So that's this week, okay? Plus this full moon. So then we're moving into the timeline of next week, which is going to be the 5th. There's a lot of stuff happening that week astrologically, which I'll share in just a second, but let me see what card we receive for that day, or that week, I should say. It's that week. Oh my gosh, we're getting a big energy of the crown chakra. So this is, I hope you guys can hear me because the planes sometimes go over. Basically what this card is telling me and what they're showing me is the sacred geometry in your heart of your divine blueprint. And there is no time to waste with stepping into, sorry, I'm going to close my eyes for this. There's no time to waste with stepping into your ability to lead from your heart, and making room for grace. So what the divine is showing me, and it actually almost like brings tears to my eyes, is there might be some impasses that you've been meeting up with in your life, where it's, whether it's in your relationships or work, where you feel like there's just no room for change. Like there's no way to shift the situation, where you're almost like, this is it. Like this is how my life is, and I just have to accept it. And the divine's like, no, that's what your limited mind thinks. And I'm not trying to say that we're all limited, but our brain will only take us so far. This is a week to literally give your vision to the divine of like where you're stuck, and just say, this vision, and I want you to imagine a blank canvas. And usually when we pray, or when we're connecting to our higher self and all this stuff, we have all these expectations and pressures of like, it has to be this way. And okay, divine, I'm asking for I want it to be this way. Okay, so if you can give me this, and then I can be happy then. I'm this message is coming in so strong right now. It's like literally like if you were to write in the sand something, like at the beach, and a wave comes in and it just takes it all out, and it's blank. It's like a blank canvas, a blank space. The next week, I want you to be a blank canvas for your life. I want you to imagine that just for that week, like whatever script you've been running in your head, like give yourself some like relief and just remember, like, I don't have to have this all figured out and planned out. Like, I'm literally gonna like step into the abyss of uncertainty and allow the divine to show me my highest timeline. So this is a week to go commune with your higher self and God every single day. And you could just do it through prayer. It doesn't have to be, hi, Yoga Anna. It doesn't have to be through some crazy like ritual or anything like that. It's just like pray. Have a dialogue with the divine. Let go of your expectations. Live into the mystery, okay? Because this week, I feel like something's going to be revealed to you. Like the curtain's going to be pulled back, and there's going to be a little bit of like deeper understanding of why something maybe didn't move forward, maybe why it was so stuck, like why it felt like you're in a rock in a hard place. So I hear this prayer coming through right now, and it's like this for this week, and it's like, divine, enlighten me with the information that has been hidden or not understood thus far. Open my eyes and especially my intuition so that I can see the truth of what's unfolding before me. That's the energy that you're going to be in that week. And there's also a beautiful side to this energy of, you know, being connected is lots of messages coming in from your divine support team, lots of synchronicities, the support from the higher realms coming in to help orchestrate the grace and the shifts that you could only pray would happen. And this is also a week to expect miracles, because that actually takes me back to the beginning of what I was seeing, is that wherever you feel stuck, you know, the reason is because your mind's decided that this is the way it has to be, or there isn't an alternative. And I can't tell you how many times, like in my day-to-day life, where something may seem like it's not going to go my way, and maybe it doesn't, but the thing that comes is so much bigger and greater and grander than I could have ever imagined. But it requires faith, right? So this is your week to like step, you know, look at your faith, look at your dialogue with the divine. Are you just telling the divine what you want? Or are you also like having a conversation back and forth and being grateful for what is working and going right in your life? Because that's a really important piece to this too. That week, also on the 4th, Pluto is going to move direct. So then we'll be having 4 retrogrades instead of the 5. And there's going to be a beautiful, on the 8th, there's going to be a beautiful meteor shower, the Draconoids. And it's going to be the 8th is going to be a very powerful day for life upgrade. So that day I would really spend in some prayer and meditation with the divine. Okay. So that is our card for that day, or with that week, sorry, I keep saying that. So let me look at the 12th. There's a lot going on that week astrologically too. I'll share after. I think we got the crown chakra for last month too, if I remember correctly. Lots of surrender in our realities right now. It's just the way it is. So we got the spiritual union card for the week of the 12th. Oh my God, the message. The first thing they're showing me is the word boundaries and owning your no, and being willing to recognize when and if your relationships aren't supporting you in your highest evolution and growth. And that's a tough one because they're showing that nobody's going to be spared from this energy. I mean, this is why it's a collective read, because we're all going to be looking at our relationships. It actually goes, you know, perfectly with like the fact that we're still like in the Libra energy. And it's that energy of balancing and harmonizing and making sure that with the dream of your heart that you're creating, that you're protected a little bit, that you're really careful about who you share things with. And I'm not one, honestly, to be like, don't go share your dreams or don't go talk about it. But sometimes when we're kind of changing who we are and we're not 100% used to being more in our boundaries and all that kind of stuff, it's important that we hold something sacred. It really is. I hold things sacred. I don't tell everybody everything I'm doing, because there's some people that I could tell you without a doubt would say to me, "Oh, you're crazy to think that you could do that." I've had people tell me that my whole life. "Oh, you think you're going to go do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, watch me." I'm sorry. But it's this thought of know who supports you, who sees you in your highest, who can hold you there. And it's not that the people that can't, it's not that you're gonna have to get rid of them or anything like that. You may, who knows what is happening, as far as maybe you will feel some relationships kind of coming to a little bit of an expiration. And this is something that people don't often talk about, but like when you start to change and you're vibrating in a new frequency, relationships sometimes do drop out. And it's just because it's not on the same vibrational level. And it's sad, but it's okay. It's just part of life. But holding your circle, they're showing me literally a circle around each person, and holding that really sacred. And they're saying it's really important because right now there's so much strife in relationships, and there's so much like edginess and irritability and intensity that's going to be kind of building, unfortunately, is what they're saying, that you have to be willing to manage your relationships really well and make sure that the people they feel good to be around, especially this week. So that week, the big themes is just taking inventory of your people, your circle, and making sure that they always say like your top 5 people that are in the closest to you. I would notice like how is that inner circle for me? Is it a supportive group? What changes can I make within? What boundaries can I hold? Because essentially, and this is kind of not so as fun to share, but the energy is going to be so intense outside of us that it's going to be really important that we treat our energy preciously, and the people that we share it with. Okay, that's the truth of it. Oh, bye, Rachel. Yeah, I love you too, honey. So that's what's going on for that week, is like definitely really looking at the relationships and being willing to create new boundaries if you feel like the relationships aren't supportive. And then the last piece they're showing me is there's an upgrade that's happening. This is what's coming in from this collective consciousness. That's they're showing me a heart upgrade. And that the heart upgrade is, think of your own ability to love yourself. And that week, there's a very powerful, they're calling it like a transmission. There's going to be like a certain light that's coming to the planet, whether it's solar flares or something like that, that is going to allow us to burn away some of those pieces of separation within our hearts, that will allow us to connect more to our most authentic selves and who we're meant to be. This is a week beyond your relationships outside yourself, to think about your relationship to yourself and how you're treating yourself, okay? And how you can not only be better to yourself, but ask the deeper question of, if I'm to be the best version of myself, what is it that's needed from me right now, that I need to be or do even more so than I'm doing already. Okay, that's going to be the big theme for that. Hey, Yoga Anna, this isn't individual readings. This is the soul cast for the group. I will probably do a card reading sometime this month. So you'll have to hop on. I always am on Thursdays for sure. So that's, and then just so you guys know, on the 13th, Mars is going to be closest to the Earth because it's in its retrograde cycle, and Mercury goes retrograde. So we're going to have 5 retrogrades in that week start to happen, and then we also have a new moon that week. So that'll help us refocus too. So there's a lot going on that week. That's a big week. Okay, the 19th. Let's see what's happening. What's happening? Oh, this is nice. So this is Prosperity Begins. Whew. I just love this card. And how it shows all the, like, I guess that's like a peach tree or something, like all the peaches falling from the sky. But this to me is direct motion energy. You've planted the seeds, you've been waiting, and it's time to start taking some action. It's time to start, you know, they're showing me this image of like soil and how you've probably already, you know, like I said, planted the seeds, but now it's time to like make sure you're doing everything possible to cultivate the growth. And so what I mean by that is it's an action. It's action oriented. It's about looking at the bigger things that you've been trying to implement, and you may feel like a different type of energy this week. Like they're showing me that there'll be kind of like this feeling of like I have to get, you know, going on these things. And it's like that, I don't know why, but they're showing it to me like as this breeze, and it like kind of parts when it gets to me, which means to me that there's going to be like a clearing, like an energy clearing of like wherever you have been feeling stagnated, and you have been, you know, because if you think about the weeks leading up to it, like that we were just talking about, it's all prep, you know, to now go, okay, it's time for me to go. And this is a week, they're saying, that you want, if you can, to think about what's important for you for the last few months of this year. Like, what is it that you would really like want to get in motion before the year ends? And so maybe it's that big project, maybe it's that big thing that you've been, that big talk you want to give, or whatever, the blog you want to write, or the hobby thing that you've been putting off, whatever. It's really an energy of taking action and getting things going. And if you do that, I'm hearing that the universe, there's reward. And I'm not saying that you should just do it for that reason, but it feels like there's an abundance to this. It's a trust, it's a moving forward, it's a way of like telling the universe, I'm taking the leap of faith, and I'm excited for you to show me the results of that. And there will be direct results. And so this also might be a week where you're pleasantly surprised because something that, hey Artemisa, something that was, you know, like I said, was on hold and wasn't moving, starts to move, and then, you know, you start to see the abundance of it. So I'm really excited about that week. That feels really light. I mean, I love all the energy, but that one feels especially really good. And on the 21st, there's the Orionids meteor shower. So Orion sends its energy to reignite our life path that week. So that'll be really cool, that week of the 19th. And then the 26th, that's the last week of October. We're going to be right around the 26th. We're at the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. And I don't know if you guys like freak out about the Mercury retrograde. I don't even care about it anymore. The only thing I'm trying to be aware of is not to sign any big contract, you know, during that time. But I beyond that, I think Mercury retrograde is just a time to slow down. And Mercury's ruled by, Mercury, the planet, is ruled by communication. I was going to say something else, but it's ruled by communication and how you express yourself. So that is an opportunity to slow down and think about how you are expressing yourself and all of that. So I actually enjoy Mercury retrograde. Artemisa, that's so sweet. I know. I hope everyone is happy and healthy too. I always hope that for everybody. Okay, so the 26th week. It's the trapped in fear card. Oh my gosh. So this is an interesting card, right? I'm just writing it down. So this week is also, there's going to be a full moon, the second full moon of the month. And so there's a lot of big energy. When you look at this card, let's see if I can do it like that. You see a guy sitting in his own little prison cell. And I like this card, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you'll begin to realize that a lot of the fear in your life and a lot of the stuckness and all the stuff I was saying earlier is self-induced. It's like something that we're causing ourselves because of our beliefs and the way we're seeing the world or perceiving, something within ourselves. And this is your week to bust out of that, to be cognizant of like, oh my gosh, I'm trapping myself through these feelings and these thoughts. And when you start to notice that your thoughts are in a dark place, I want you to see the alchemical process that's available to you, because darkness is not always a bad thing. I mean, there's light and dark. That's like goes without a doubt, right? But the darkness is an opportunity to excavate something and to see something within yourself that maybe isn't always available to you. So if you are having dark thoughts, just know that if you don't do the work, you'll create a dark future. Because you have to remember your feelings and your thoughts and all the stuff that you're doing is creating your future timeline. So the beauty about like a dark or dim future, these futures that you're creating, is you can shift it, and the darkness right now, the dark futures, is when people feel very much victimized by what's happening in their reality. And people are going to be freaking out a little bit. Like I just see a little bit of chaos, honestly, and I see commotion, and I see people like moving around like like not listlessly, but like they can't sit still, like they just are moving because it's so uncomfortable, the energy on the planet. And it's, especially in the US, it's going to be a very interesting time. And you may find you want to distract yourself, and you may find that you feel trapped by your fears. And this card, the reminder is you have the key. Like, this is what I always think is funny about this card, is like, these the whatever you want to call it, not the gate or the door or whatever, it's literally big enough that you could stick your hand out of it and grab the key, and be like, okay, I'm gonna release myself from my inner prison. There's never been a more important time in all of our humanity to recognize the shadow and how it's playing itself out, which is, you can use the word shadow or darkness interchangeably in what I'm talking about, and to do the healing work. Because there's so many external triggers of what's going on with around us that it would be easy for our internal thermostat to be running on high, like going into survival mode and being in fear and wondering what your reality is going to be like. And so this is the invitation to be in that faithful communion with the divine, and believing that something that may be uncertain and fearful, that it's no different than that is in the collective, let's just say, is no different than when it's happening in your own personal life. And what I was saying about, the ability to receive grace from the divine, what if every single one of us that recognizes our own shadows and is able to transmute that within ourselves was able to hold space for the collective? I mean, we have to do that. There's no other way to go. Like, there's never been a bigger or more important time to follow your true north and to make sure that you're not repressing or going back into old trauma patterns or cycles, because like I said, it's easy to be traumatized when things are kind of crazy around us. So that this last week, of October, you may find that if there's any time that you get stuck within your internal thought system, or you feel like there's an external trapping from the outside of yourself, to go back within and start doing the work, and imagine that you're a freaking lighthouse, that your aura, your frequency, the essence of your being, your transmission has the power to shift the people around you. And that, to me, is what this is all about, right? Is living in your light and choosing to be the beacon, versus, the beacon of light in the darkness, and helping others come to see for themselves, right? Then, being that saying, being the tugboat, where you're tugging somebody else along and hoping that you're going to get them to shore. Like, no, be the lighthouse right now, especially that week. And I think that's why I was saying earlier with the spiritual union card that second week, that we're going to be looking at our relationships, because you can't be the lighthouse if you're surrounding yourself with people that drag you down and drain you, that are psychic vampires. Like, it just doesn't work. I mean, I've had to get really selective, and I feel bad sometimes. I miss hanging out with I miss some of the old things I used to get to do. But I've gotten really selective with how I use my time and who I spend my time with, because I have to cultivate a bigger experience for myself. It's not just what's right in front of me. It's not about instant gratification right now. And I'm not just saying that for myself. That's what's channeling through me for you guys too. And it's like kind of like a message that feels kind of like heavy, but at the same time, it's because we're creating something bigger and more brilliant. And so I think today, like, spend some time celebrating how far you've come. And think about, even just for your own family, for yourself, like, if you're going to be the beacon, like, what is it that you need to shift so that you feel supported from the divine, you feel supported by those around you. And it's not looking for validation, by the way, for those around you, because I'm telling you, if you're going to be a true leader, you have to forge your own path. You have to stop looking for validation. You have to be willing to listen to the voice of your soul. I know how challenging that is at times. But that's what's needed. Because if you listen to all the stuff that's going on around outside of us on social media and in the news and all that kind of stuff, you can get lost easily. So that is, let's see how long I was doing this for. Oh, almost 45 minutes. Okay. That is the forecast for October. I feel like there's so much transmutation. There's so much support that is happening from the higher realms. I do feel like I'm not somebody that's ever going to channel, well, I will never say never, but channel and say, oh, somebody's going to come in and save us from our reality, from this or that. Like, and when I mean somebody, I'm saying like some sort of other consciousness or some savior or something. That I believe that we are internally capable of saving ourselves and helping humanity by linking up and joining arms and being a family, right, and connecting. So I've noticed a theme in the collective right now, where I think people are looking for their guru, their savior, the person that's going to save them from this reality. And I don't know where your thoughts are on that. I'm so curious, but you are the person that's going to, like, there is nobody outside of ourselves, like, except for God. God, of course, is there to support us and help us. But I don't want anybody to, especially with this, last week of that card, to feel like they're going to put all of their faith in someone else outside of themselves to create a new reality. because I think what we're seeing actually in the collective, and this is the last piece of this message, is that it's not even about right or left, Republican or Democrat. Like, there's just so much energy of like the shadow playing out right now, and what timeline people are choosing into. You know, like what they're really like, if they're looking for the savior that's going to save them and they're just going to like do whatever they're told, or are we thinking for ourselves and being sovereign with our frequency and communing with the divine and creating something and knowing no matter what happens that we still are co-creators and that we still can, you know, have change and beauty and light and all these things, because that's why we're here. So a little bit more of a, not, I don't want to say it's not a heavy message, it's just that, you know, the divine and these beautiful beings that are coming through, what they were trying to tell me before I kind of just went off on my tangent about the savior complex is we have so much support. That's what I was going to say. We have so much support from above. There's so much light pouring in, and so that's what is amazing to see and to know and to trust. And so I will leave you with that. We're going to have a beautiful October. If you guys, a couple announcements really quick. I have an event on October 17th. It's called Highest Service, Highest Calling. It's like 10 to 6 in San Diego, and so it's online, and there's the in-person version. I made it a really reasonable price point. I want to help you cultivate stepping deeper into your purpose. So whether you don't know your purpose or you do and you want to amplify it and you want to feel more comfortable with speaking your truth and leading and being your most authentic self, this is the day. Well, I'm really excited. We're going to do breath work. We're going to do all these amazing activities and exercises to really come into a deeper level of embodiment, because it's so much to, you know, hear things, but to really have it like sink into your heart and know the truth of who you are. So I'll post that in the link. I only have 7 spots left for that. So I want those 7 spots to fill and have the most amazing souls there. So if you're feeling a yes to this, please join, please sign up. And say yes to the calling of your soul. And then last but not least, if you enjoy the work I share and you feel like a deeper like resonance, I have my membership portal called Soul Lab. It's amazing. I still have the membership at 44. I have not been able to go in the back of it and change it yet. So it's at 44 still. The women in it are loving it. We're having a great time, and there's a lot of different touch points. So for $44, you're getting like a group coaching call every month where you actually get individual time. You get a frequency activation, which is a channeled meditation that helps you quantum leap to your next level. You get a new moon webinar, so you get cosmic awareness and really stepping into intentionality with the energies. And last but not least, you get a breathwork ceremony where I'm doing frequency work on you the whole time. Each one of those things, it could be minimum $40, but like this is my way of serving, and this is my way of cultivating a group of like amazing badass light leaders, because they all are amazing women. So if you want to join, you know, and be surrounded in that kind of energy and know that this is like almost like gym for your soul to continue to grow, I invite you into Soul Lab. I will post that in the comments as well. You can also find it in the group at the top. There's an announcement where it's posted. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you're catching the replay and you have something to share, please do. Like, just do #replay. I would love to hear your thoughts and what you're thinking, or if you have anything that you want to share too, please, in the comments. I would love to hear it. And I'll see you guys next week, and have a beautiful rest of your week and full moon. Take care.